Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to another video. Today I would like to talk about thyroid and thyroid issues. I would like to talk a little bit about my own thyroid history, which is a long journey. And I would like to talk about the symptoms of thyroid issues. So the thyroid is sitting in that area and it's really tiny. It's maybe like hazelnut big, and it's basically the hormones of the thyroid, which are T3 and T4, are basically responsible for the metabolism, the circulation, the digestion system, the stomach, and the sexual organs, or at least the sexual kind of functions in our bodies. So, like sexual uh, needs and cravings and whatever. And I would like to talk about the different kind of symptoms. So when I was starting to have thyroid issues and I didn't know, I was suffering from a lot of many different symptoms. I was having headaches and I felt dizzy, incredibly tired, exhausted. I had like brain fog, so I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't find words. I was dealing with confusion or just dizziness, brain fog, not thinking clearly. I had pain in my muscles. The thyroid is also responsible for regulating like cells and muscles in the body, and so I had incredible strong neck pain, arm pain, shoulder pain. I could have like really sore muscles because if the thyroid is not working properly, it's like basically the metabolism isn't working properly, so the muscles and the veins or whatever aren't really like regulated completely, or are not functioning the way they should, because just if the thyroid is not working properly, if it's too slow, or if there are not enough hormones, everything is working just like really slowly. So there's not enough, basically, and not enough um, there's not enough blood circulation, and everything is like working slower. When your thyroid is working uh, overly active, basically, if there are too many hormones, then you're kind of dealing with the opposite kind of symptoms. So instead of being constantly tired and drained, you're super nervous, maybe anxious, really maybe easily triggered, maybe nervous. You have lots of energy, but not in a good kind of, not in a good feeling kind of way, but rather in a like, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm so anxious. And I was actually dealing with both of these symptoms, even though I have a low functioning thyroid, because my issue is that I have um, something that is called Hashimoto, which is basically an autoimmune disease where the thyroid gets destroyed by antibodies. And scientists are not really sure about why our bodies are creating antibodies, for what reason. Um, but those antibodies are basically destroying the thyroid, and so the symptoms are like, when it comes to muscles, we have sore muscles, we have stiff muscles, we have incredible muscle pain, we have headaches, I had sore calves, and pain in my fingers, pain in my neck. My skin, I had really dry skin, I had rashes, I had just really complicated, sensitive, irritated skin. I had really dry hair, at the same time crazy hair. Like everything was just like, you know, not really functioning properly. Like maybe the tips were really dry, but my skin on the head was really creasy, for example, or I was so yeah, difficult or different kind of skin issues. Like I said, I had lots of allergies always in my childhood as well as a teenager, but I started to have those thyroid issues later on. Maybe I would say they started around 15 or 16, and but they only were discovered when I was 22 or 21 by a doctor who would um, an expert for hormonal, inner hormonal uh, kind of things, whatever, or diseases or issues. Um, what else? I didn't have my period for the longest freaking time, so that's why I actually think I had these thyroid issues for a longer time, because I didn't have my period basically all my teenager years. Um, from when they started, maybe when I was 14 or whatever, or 13 maybe, and I didn't have them regularly for like until they discovered the thyroid issue, and until I got hormones and hormonal support, and I still take those pills today, right? So um, basically for maybe 7, 8 years, I was not having my period regularly. Had my period maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And now some people would say, "Oh, it sounds amazing," but it's not amazing when you are not knowing what's going on, and some doctors would just not take you seriously and just prescribe birth control, and you're like, I don't want a birth control. I just want regular um, periods, actually. But um, and then and the period would be really weak um, and not regularly and like really short. So furthermore, I was dealing with suicidal thoughts and depression, because everything is just working too slow. And I went to therapy, and I went to all kinds of doctors because of all the different kind of symptoms. And in the beginning, I wasn't really aware of my symptoms, but it was rather family members who would recognize some things and would bring me to the doctor as well. So I was not really aware of that, because they were just starting really slowly, you know. Oh, I had headaches and I was tired, but I also had a really rough schedule because I was dancing at that point. I was dancing ballet for uh, 5 days a week, and I was in school as well. So my daily schedule was pretty rough. So I was just always blaming that really rough schedule. But another thing was me having to lose weight uh, for ballet, for being a ballet dancer, whatever, and really struggling with losing weight, right? Because your metabolism is just really working slowly, because nothing is like working properly, and no matter how little you eat, you're going to either gain weight or just not lose weight at all. So I had to have a really strict kind of diet plan, and I was working out a lot, I was exercising a lot, I was dancing ballet 3 to 4 hours, later on even more, and I was um, um, going for runs and doing workouts, and I was barely losing weight. I had like basically eat really little and work out a lot, and doctors would not take me seriously, would just think, you know, I would like pretend I was being on a diet, and like in actuality I was eating more and whatever. um I don't want to shame any doctors, but some of them really have to learn about empathy and taking people seriously. Um, what else? Yeah, I was really dealing with depression, suicidal thoughts. I really wanted to die for the longest time. And I oh yeah, I had so much water weight. I was like had a puffy face and really thick fingers. I know they are not really skinny anyway, but they were like, and it's warm today, but like usually um if I take my medicine and whatever, I I'm not having a puffy face, you know. And at that point, I was really puffy in my face, which, you know, all the things you don't need when you're a teenager or when you are dancing ballet. You don't need any of those things. You don't want any of those things. I wouldn't say I'm vain, but it was really difficult because I didn't know I had a puffy face, right? And every doctor was just like, it's nothing or whatever. And I was just like, okay, maybe I have my period soon, but my period was just coming once or twice a year. So no, it was not my period. I was just like constant water weight and constant puffy face and constant being too big and like not eating um, less enough to lose that amount of weight because the thyroid was just like not giving enough hormonal support and whatever. What else? Yeah, really like headaches, just really feeling something is like constantly being tired, constantly being drained, constantly being exhausted, depressed, sad, not having enough energy or power for anything because your body is just not working how it should work. I couldn't poop basically because it's also those hormones are also regulating the digestion system and the metabolism and the stomach and whatever. So I couldn't poop, which is also not cool. I was bloated and things that were just not working properly, and it was very, very exhausting. And at the same time, I wasn't aware of that at it much that much because it was just evolving very slowly. So it was not like, and I always was just blaming my really strict schedule of a lot of um, uh, physical exercise and really rough days as well. But later on, I became aware of like, why am I not losing weight? You know, or why is my skin that weird? So, um, all of that is really uh, like a lot to bear. And whoever is struggling from that, I'm completely with you because it was such a long journey because I didn't know, and I didn't know which doctors to see who would actually take me seriously, and they would check everything and everything was kind of fine, but until some doctor would be nice enough to check all of my make a huge blood test and check those hormonal issues and things. And then and then it takes a while to, when you get the medicine or the hormones and you take them in the morning, it's important that you take them and you wait at least 30 minutes until you have breakfast. I usually don't have breakfast, I just have coffee, but some people say you should wait until coffee for 1 hour. I usually don't do that, and I think I'm fine, but I really feel it when I have breakfast too early that the um, pills are not working properly. So, what else do you need to know? Um, yeah, you should go to a doctor who's basically, if you have all these symptoms, okay? Um, you should go to a really trustworthy doctor and tell them all about the symptoms and say, I heard about those thyroid things. I think it's quite interesting, and I know scientists would probably not be on my side, but I think it's quite interesting that most women have those um, thyroid diseases like Hashimoto. Um, my sister has it, my mother has it, like so many women I know, younger and older women have it. Um, and we talk about ayat or ayat, and the amount of salt in our groceries, um, in our food and whatever. I'm not quite sure. I can just only say that I personally should not eat gluten and wheat. I eat bread sometimes, but I really avoid eating pasta because I know it's really not good for me. And there are some studies that are saying that gluten is actually leading to producing those antibodies, which are, however, destroying the thyroid. So if you go to the doctor, some doctors are maybe more aware or had done more research. My doctor was saying yes, gluten could be a part of the reason why there are antibodies, because gluten is supposed to lead to inflammation. That's why a lot of people with rheuma, how do you say that? With muscle and bone issues shouldn't eat wheat or gluten. And a lot of people make really positive experiences when they cut out wheat and gluten. For me, it just makes my head feel weird. I have brain fog, and I have also hurting hands and whatever. So this is when I would also recommend to leave wheat and gluten out of your diet. And it had like my healing journey surrounded, like my healing journey in terms of my thyroid had a lot to do with changing my diet. I was eating way much more gluten and dairy at that point, and I had to cut out a lot of different kind of things. And so that since I cut out a lot of dairy, I would also experience less of allergic reactions in springtime, and I would just I started to have my period more regularly since I take the medicine, since I take the hormones. So there's lots of things have improved clearly, but it had a lot to do with not only just taking the pills and do whatever I wanted to do. I had to take it's like when you have depression and you take antidepressants, and there's also other stuff you should be doing. Your healing journey should be always holistically, and if you take antidepressants, you should also see a doctor. You should also see a therapist, in my opinion. I think to just have a holistic approach and not just take a pill and be fine. But there's a reason why you are suffering, right? There's a reason why you're depressed. So there's a reason why your thyroid is not working properly. And for me, when I approached the thyroid thing from a spiritual aspect, I was also becoming aware of my throat chakra, right? So there is some stuff out there, some articles about the throat chakra, speaking your truth, saying who you are, speaking up, singing, speaking your truth, living your truth. And I was not doing that. I still struggle because we all live in surroundings or where we could just not or we all have to liberate us in some kind of way. I'm not saying we're always going to be there, but it's definitely a journey. And the journey of my thyroid healing was definitely to look at it in a holistic kind of way. So I had to look at throat chakra healing, speaking my truth. You know, when you are a child or a teenager and you are supposed to um, not speak your truth, you will have a lump in your throat, and that has an impact energetically on your thyroid. I'm convinced of that, and I don't need any proof because energy is not going to be seen, but it's definitely going to be felt. Um, the same thing, I had to do a lot of work with my root chakra, with being here in this world and standing in this world and taking up space and being myself. It's a constant practice. But however, the thyroid issue had to be approached from a holistic kind of, um, with a holistic way of thinking, and diet was definitely a part of it. So like I said, I would, cut out gluten, not 100%, but so much more than when I was in my 20s or whatever, and less dairy, and also connecting to my truth daily and speak it as often as possible, which is going to be difficult. And it's a practice, and some of us can just like jump and liberate themselves, and some of us are still in environments where they can speak up fully, and it's also okay to take it slow and to, we always think like this liberating jump or us speaking truth is happening in just 5 minutes or overnight. But if we have to heal and if we have to go step by step, that is a really sacred and divine and beautiful journey. And we always think we have to like change overnight into this like vibrant phoenix rising, and that is definitely a beautiful thing when people do that. It's so admiring, but it doesn't mean the people who are like where they want to be have not shadows that, or lower energy talking them down, I just mean because some of us go slower and some of us go quicker, and we don't have to compare or judge. Because my personal thyroid healing journey took like from 16 or 17, or I mean, I didn't have my diagnosis until I was 21. But I became aware of all the symptoms, and I think that's also when the healing starts. But I did a lot of research about food and what's actually good for us. Some people say you shouldn't drink coffee and eat gluten and wheat. Something that is really, for me, I shouldn't drink alcohol or smoke, but I don't do it anyway. I don't feel drawn to it, but I do drink coffee, and sometimes I have gluten, but it's all really in moderation. And I think that's the most important thing. And your healing has a lot to do with, you speaking your truth or living your truth has also to do with, okay, how much truth can I, or how much space can I take up here, because it's really difficult to like, I know a lot of teachers talk about like, be the full expression of who you are. But that would mean that, like, I don't know. I mean, for some people, it works, and I would never take that away from them. But if we take tiny steps of, okay, one part of my truth, and truth just means what's important to me, what is really nurturing my heart and my soul, and is really important to me, if you know you have those thyroid issues, okay, I'm going to take care of that. But I also really wanted to go on a yoga retreat, or I really wanted to go on a pilgrimhood for a while, or I really want to write that book, or just a poem, or I really wanted to visit that city, or I really wanted to go back to that place I love so much, or I really want to connect to nature every day, because this is also part of the truth. The truth is not always like, okay, this is me and all my crazy beautiful colors, and I'm going to show up no matter what, right here, right now, and not thinking of the consequences, which is beautiful, but it's scary. And that's why it's also okay to go slow. And that's a huge part of the thyroid healing process, to become aware of the symptoms, become aware of what you were um, holding back or ignoring or shoving down or not speaking up about, right? It can have to do with relationships with your family members. It can have to do with um, romantic partners and relationships. Where have you been? Where have you been experiencing that people were like um, cut your wings and dump down your light? And that is something that has to be or should be healed for the holistic process of healing, and should be looked at. You can write about that. Write those 10 pages. What hurts you? That is also part of liberating yourself and speaking up and speaking your truth. Start singing if you love singing. Start playing that instrument. That is all part of that self-expression, kind of speaking truth, kind of healing journey. Speaking up, maybe a little bit each day, and maybe you won't be received, but maybe it's time to change the environment, or it's time to speak up anyway, or it's time to, maybe you don't do it for others, you just purely do it for yourself. That's a huge part of healing. That's a huge part of that thyroid healing process, because truth is, yes, I'm taking those medicines, but I also had worse and better days with the medicine, right? So you can take the medicine and not feel like you're getting any better, but maybe it takes some time of your body needs to adjust, and you also need to do the energetic work and the energy healing for you to get better and see some changes. How to liberate yourself, how to speak up more, how to speak your truth, how to maybe it's about working less in that job, and therefore have more time for nature, or going for walks with your dog, and you have less money, but you're going to be fine. Maybe that's part of you speaking your truth, or you not wanting to be with that person anymore, or you wanting to live in another house, in another environment. It can be like really small steps towards truth as well, and that can be really healing as well. That's why it's a healing journey and a healing process. And if we're dealing with those things like thyroid issues, that's just part of why we like, those things are symptoms of our trauma and our grief and our pain and what we've been ignoring, right? When I was younger, for example, in my 20s, I had I suffered from bladder infection so much and so often. I know a few other young women suffering from bladder infection constantly. And it changed the moment I like got in touch with or read about the root chakra and basically got in touch with root chakra healing. I think it also changed when I started taking the medicine. So it can also have to do with all the metabolism, hormonal kind of healing. So also, I'm not going to be able to get off that medicine, because with Hashimoto, it's a matter of the fact, or it's part of the disease, is that the thyroid gets destroyed by antibodies, and you can I'm convinced that you can slow it down, that you can slow the process down the more you're healing yourself holistically. I'm convinced that if you watch your diet, if you watch your energy healing, if you are doing things that are good for you, if you stress is really not good for your thyroid. That's just, and stress in terms of food and diet, alcohol and drinking, drinking alcohol or smoking, living in difficult relationships or in difficult environments. Stress is just really not. It was never good for my thyroid. So, um, um, yeah, I won't be able to get off the medicine, and it's not my ultimate goal, because my goal was always to oh yeah, there's another symptom. I had another symptoms or a symptom of thyroid or Hashimoto, or thyroid disease is can be epilepsy, like having epileptic attacks. And I had one big one in a phase of great stress, and where I was not doing well, psychologically and physically. So I had one of these attacks, and then I was basically needing to take medicine for the epilepsy for a few years, and then I could also I could stop taking them. And for a while I was taking the thyroid medicine, the medicine for my head, for my epilepsy, and I took birth control. And I was like, okay, that's too much, because I was taking so many vitamins and minerals for my body and for my thyroid as well, that I was like, this is too much. And now I just take because I was like, I take the thyroid medicine, but I'm also taking birth control. It's like, it's like too much weird things, and too many weird things. And I didn't see a reason to take birth control as well. So I was just stopped taking the other two, and now just take the thyroid medicine and some vitamins. And I'm really doing well with that. I'm, yeah, pretty, like, my body is pretty well, pretty good, pretty good, pretty well, and doing good. Sorry guys, I don't find the right words today. But if you have any questions around that subject, because I did quite a lot of research, and I can answer you some questions if you're interested, and you can write a comment down below. And besides that, I hope that was helpful for you. If I have more ideas, I'm going to make another part. But for now, that was basically it, me and my thyroid journey. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Bye bye.